Sony had its June 2026 State of Play, and I have to say, for once, this wasn't an hour-long presentation where half the audience was desperately convincing themselves that a remaster of a remaster counts as a major announcement. This one actually has some pretty big reveals. Let's get to it. The star of the show was definitely Marvel's Wolverine. Sony finally showed off an extended gameplay demo, and apparently Insomniac's interpretation of Wolverine is what if we took Spider-Man and replaced all the web swinging with severe anger management issues. The gameplay looked brutal, bloody, and surprisingly violent for a company that occasionally acts like a mature rated games are something they accidentally left in the store. Wolverine is officially launching on September 15, and after years of teasers, leaks, rumors, and people analyzing every frame like they were investigating a UFO sighting, it's finally almost here. But Wolverine isn't the only thing Sony brought. We also got our first look at Control Resonant, the sequel to Control. Apparently, Remedy looked at the first game and said, you know what this story needs? More weird. Which is honestly impressive because the original game already felt like somebody turned an SCP wiki into a video game after consuming 6 energy drinks and a philosophy textbook. This time the spotlight shifts to Dylan Fadden, which means the family therapy bills in this universe are somehow about to get even more expensive. The game launches September 24th. Then Sony pulled one of the biggest surprises of the event, God of War Lofi. That's right, Kratos has apparently decided to step aside and let Faye take center stage. Imagine telling someone back in 2005 that one day a God of War game wouldn't primarily be about a bold man screaming at gods while committing enough property damage to bankrupt entire civilizations. Instead, Sony is going all in on a more agile, magic-focused combat system. Honestly, after nearly 2 decades of Kratos solving every problem by applying an axe directly into someone's face, maybe a change of pace isn't the worst idea. Another announcement that genuinely made me smile was Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis. Now, before anyone accuses me of becoming the guy who complains about remasters one week and celebrates them the next, let me explain. This is exactly the kind of remake I can get behind. The original Tomb Raider wasn't just another game. It was one of those titles that helped define what 3D action adventure games could be. Back when most of us were still trying to figure out where polygons ended and the character began, Lara Croft was out there exploring ancient ruins, solving puzzles, and proving that video games could deliver cinematic adventures long before every trailer started looking like a Hollywood movie. That's why Legacy of Atlantis feels different. When publishers announce the remaster of a game that came out 3 years ago and already runs at 4K, I usually roll my eyes hard enough to see my own brain. But when you're talking about one of the most influential games in gaming history, that's a completely different conversation. And some games earn the right to come back. I've always said I'm perfectly fine with remasters and remakes when they're reserved for the original classics or the most beloved entries in a franchise. Those are the games that introduce people to a series, pushed the industry forward, or became cultural landmarks. Giving those titles a modern makeover lets a whole new generation experience them without having to wrestle with tank controls, Asian camera systems, or hardware that belongs in a museum. And from what Sony showed, Legacy of Atlantis looks like it understands the assignment. It appears to be preserving what made the original special while modernizing everything around it. That's the difference between a remake that feels worthwhile and one that feels like a publisher found an old disc in a storage closet and decided to charge $70 for nostalgia. What impressed me the most is that Sony finally seemed willing to show actual gameplay instead of relying entirely on cinematic trailers featuring dramatic music, cryptic dialogue, and a logo appearing 3 years before release. It's a revolutionary concept, really, showing people the game they're expected to buy. I know, crazy. Somebody in a boardroom deserves a promotion for that idea. Overall, this was one of Sony's strongest state of play presentations in recent memory. Between Wolverine finally proving it's real, Control getting a sequel, God of War heading in a completely unexpected direction, Tomb Raider getting the kind of remake treatment that actually makes sense, and a healthy lineup of third-party games, PlayStation fans walked away with plenty to be excited about. Of course, within approximately 5 minutes of the stream ending, the internet immediately shifted from Sony Cook to okay, but where was Bloodborne? Some things will never change. And then there's Grand Theft Auto 6. Because apparently no major gaming event can happen without people asking, yeah, but what about GTA 6? Rockstar didn't bring a huge new reveal to the show, but the game continues to loom over the entire industry like a giant criminal-shaped cloud. After multiple delays, GTA 6 is now scheduled to launch on November 19, 2026 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X. At this point, the road to release has been longer than some college degrees. But honestly, if there's one company that can get away with making millions of people wait over a decade for a sequel, it's probably Rockstar. Every publisher in the industry has basically been checking Rockstar's calendar before announcing their own release dates, because nobody wants to be the game that launches a week before GTA and immediately gets sent to the Shadow Realm. The expectations are absolutely ridiculous. The hype train has run out of tracks and now flying through the air under its own momentum. And somehow GTA 6 still feels like the one game that might actually live up to it. And since Rockstar finally opened pre-orders, we also got confirmation of the game's pricing and editions. The standard edition comes at $79.99, while the collector's edition will be $99.99 and includes exclusive vehicles, weapons, outfits, and additional content tied to Jason and Lucia, and a few other digital goodies designed to convince you that spending another $20 is somehow a financially responsible decision. Both editions also include the Vintage Vice City pack as a pre-order bonus, which is basically Rockstar's way of saying, remember the 80s? Neither do we, but they look cool. Interestingly, despite charging $80 to $100 for the game, Rockstar won't be shipping an actual disc. Even physical copies are simply boxes containing download code. That's right. Waiting more than a decade for a GTA 6, you'll finally get your hands on a plastic case whose main purpose is to tell you your console to download the game from the internet. Progress. This has even caused some sellers of games to outright deny selling the game until Rockstar decides to sell a disc version. So what did you think of State of Play? Was Wolverine the highlight? Are you excited to play as Faye in God of War? Is Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis the kind of remake you want to see more of? Or are you currently typing a 4,000 word comment about Bloodborne Remastered, Reborn, Remake, Bloodborne Kart? Did you already order GTA 6? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell before Sony announces another showcase and we all collectively convince ourselves that this is finally the one where Half-Life 3 appears. As always, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, X, yes, I'm still calling it Twitter, and of course right here on YouTube at J.R. Abrams Tech. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.